It's long overdue that a New Zealand league was featured on the channel, and I mean a 100% New Zealand league, not Super Rugby and the like. So I thought, why not check out their cricket grounds, specifically their T20 league, the Super Smash, which has nothing to do with Nintendo. Seddon Park, Outer Oval, Auckland Aces. Yeah, the Super Smash isn't quite popular enough to justify booking Seddon Park proper, but although it is literally in the shadow of a much better stadium, this is still a decent little cricket ground. There's a couple of quaint little stands and, well, not much else. At least the straight boundaries aren't ridiculously small like they are next door. Seddon Park is primarily a rugby stadium after all. Hagley Oval, Canterbury Kings. I believe the women's team are called the Magicians, cause it would be a little weird calling them Kings. If only there was a female equivalent. This ground was built in 1851, just a few years after the city of Christchurch was founded. And after all that time, it hasn't really swayed too far from what a cricket ground would have looked like back then. Sure, the one and only grandstand is fairly modern, but the rest of the field is surrounded by a grass berm. When combined with its location within the city's largest park, Hagley Park, it makes for a picturesque setting. The Central Stags have decided that they are too cool to have just one ground they play at, so instead they'll be using 3 venues throughout the Super Smash. Fitzherbert Park has some odd dimensions. The square boundaries are especially long, although they do bring the ropes in a considerable way from the fence, which provides for some material for the older commentators.
Back in my day, you used to have to hit the ball into the car park for it to be a 6. And our bats were like toothpicks, they were. And don't forget, we did all this while still hungover from the night before. 4 for 93, 12 overs bowled.
Pukekura Park is situated amongst a tranquil park that goes by the same name. It would have to be amongst the most unusual grounds in the world of professional cricket. Due to the lush surrounds and the unique seating situation, this place looks like something you would discover in the jungles of South America, or perhaps the hills of Southeast Asia, given that the stands look almost identical to rice terraces. Kinda like this ground in Sylhet, Bangladesh. Oh, and to top it all off, some spectators even get an ocean view. This place is so damn cool. McLean Park is actually named after Don McLean, but not the Don McLean of American Pie fame. It was a Sir Donald McLean who didn't drive his Chevy to the levee. Although, in a weird coincidence, this ground and Chevrolet were both established in 1911. What does it all mean? Anyway, this is currently the world's easternmost test cricket ground. Although if the Fiji cricket team replicates the success of their rugby team, perhaps they'll be granted test status. Yeah, nah. Seddon Park. It's a similar story to Canterbury, as this club was known as the Northern Knights, but recently had a rebrand to the Northern Brave, to the chagrin of all the alliteration fans out there. This ground probably has the largest grass embankment in terms of height, but after seeing Hagley Oval and Pukekura Park, it just doesn't seem so special. I mean, it's just grass. Other than that, most of the actual seating in the house is coming from portable stands, which are not pretty, but the rest of the ground is, so that's alright. Bay Oval. This is basically Hagley Oval with a few additional features. Those include a 360-degree concourse, a large video board, and a rock climbing wall. It also has a statistical distinction. That is that Bangladesh has beaten New Zealand in every single test match they've played at this ground. Yep, in all these years they've never lost. It was just the one match, but I don't think that lessens the achievement. Oh, and that over there is Mount Maunganui, after which the town is named. New Zealand does have some impressive mountains, but I'm not sure 232 meters counts as a mountain, does it? Having said that, it would be the highest peak in Old Zealand, in the Netherlands. University of Otago Oval, Otago Vaults. The ground is located on the campus of the University of Otago. I am familiar with that university, not because I went there or anything. I have what they call a room temperature IQ. I'm aware of them because a few years ago they invented this thing that keeps overweight people's jaw shut. They can't eat. I honestly thought that was an April Fool's prank or something, but it's real. Their ground is much less grotesque. It was built on land that was originally a lake. It's a lot less wet now. I'm just wondering how many people have had their tooth ripped out because they walked past a bakery. Molyneux Park, Otago Vaults again. As you can probably see, this is another cricket ground that is also used for rugby. It's a common sight in New Zealand, just as nearly all Australian cricket grounds are used for AFL. There's basically no actual seating at this ground, nothing but grass, trees and a small pavilion. But when you consider that the town of Alexandria has a population of just 6,000, it's understandable. Basin Reserve, Wellington Firebirds. The name Basin Reserve does sound like a shop that sells luxury bathroom fixtures, but don't hold that against it. It gets that name because, you guessed it, the area in which it's located was originally a lake, known as Basin Lake. The lake turned into a swamp after an earthquake, and then finally turned into a cricket ground, presumably after a much more powerful earthquake. Most of the grounds we've seen have had a simple seating layout. This place has pretty much everything short of beanbags and hammocks. There are benches, bucket seats, grass of course, some concrete steps, and more grass. So there you have it. As for my favourite, how could I not choose Pukekura Park? The facilities at this ground are the right kind of primitive. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching, have a good one.